This is an R Media podcast.
Yeah.
I love this.
Great question.
Yeah.
That was your cue.
Well,
You start answering.
It's finishes, but it's also adaptability of a floor plan.
We're taking a few steps back. We're looking at how to do things simply and affordably first.
I'd take my hat off to you guys that somehow build the homes you build at the volume for the price. Like I can't seem to find a trade to build 2 houses at once, let alone 5,000.
I see smaller housing as a huge trend, and if it can be smaller with good quality materials, that's my hope.
It's very important that we all come back to the why for not just the work we do, but personally, why? Why do we do it? Because at the end of the day, that's what drives us. Welcome to The Edit, where we open the door on the homes, habits, and tiny decisions that make a house feel like a home. Today we have part 2 of something special. This year, Home Beautiful was lucky enough to attend Metricon's Love of Design Summit, where we had our minds opened by some of Australia's leading thinkers and makers in home and design. And we recorded the panel I hosted live as 2 bonus episodes of The Edit. Back on the panel with me, Ali Whelan of Melbourne's Breathe Architecture, the studio behind the award-winning Nightingale housing projects. Michael Leung, co-founder of Byron Bay's Balanced Earth and one of Australia's hempcrete pioneers. Neil Hipwell, the carpenter turned builder behind Futureflip and this year's HIA Australian Custom-Built Home of the Year. And interior designer, colour expert and TV favourite, James Treble. In part 1, we talked about pushing boundaries and building homes that build community. In this episode, I hand the microphone to the audience, and no question is too big or too small. From how to get more young people into their first homes to whether a robot should ever be allowed to fold your laundry, you'll hear why the Australian home of the future is smaller, smarter, and far more adaptable than you might think. Why our panel, who have built some of the most high-tech houses in the country, are quietly stepping away from the tech. And then the question that nearly stumped all 4 of them. And the surprisingly personal answers it drew out. A health crisis, a school report nobody believed in, and a night school class that changed everything. If you've missed part 1, it's waiting for you right here in the feed, and our regular episodes are right alongside it. Let's get back into the room. Great question.
Hi guys. My question to you is I would love to know what you think Australian homes are going to look like in the next 10 to 20 years and how you think the Metricon designers can prepare for that.
Great question.
Yeah.
That was your cue.
Well,
You start answering.
personally, I think in the future they have to get smaller. Nightingale were alluding to that, and some of the houses we do design are big, but often I'm seeing people looking for value for money, and the cost of construction has gone up significantly. So we're always promoting smaller spaces. I mean, we're all going to a holiday in Japan every year, and they live in tiny little houses. They use every little bit of space for storage. You know, their beds roll up and they're put away in a cupboard, and every space is multifunctional. So I see smaller housing as a huge trend, and if it can be smaller with good quality materials, that's my hope.
I personally think, well, we're obviously struggling to be able to provide value for money at the moment. I'd take my hat off to you guys that somehow build the homes you build at the volume for the price. Like I can't seem to find a trade to build 2 houses at once, let alone 5,000. It's a challenge. So as much as it's easy to say let's just swap to these materials and swap to these things, we have to solve the affordability. That's the Rubik's Cube I think we really need to focus on with design. So working out what materials are going to be the most efficient and what trades are available in that area. I was speaking to some of the owners of Metricon at the dinner the other night, and they were basically saying, Byron Bay is probably off limits because we can't get the trades here. You can't get the bricklayers, the renderers, and everyone we need to build our standard homes. Like we spoke about earlier, making it suit the climate, making it suit the budget, and making it suit what trades are available is the biggest problem to solve. And then I think that will shape what the future is of affordable homes in Australia, because basically 90% of people can't afford a home. And like the ones that can, we basically just need to get bang for buck and work out how that is going to look, and then get creative and make them look different to every other home and start being a bit more experimental, add in a few textured walls, add in a few hempcrete, feature fireplace, walls, so you're not getting that sterile environment that every other project home looks the same. You know what I mean? So I think that challenge and getting that sort of design flair added in, but solving that affordability and labour shortage problem, and then reducing in size is where it's
It is
headed.
really interesting. We've covered size, cost, materials. What about aesthetics? Does anyone have an opinion on how the aesthetics might change?
I see the connection. I dragged my children from from San Francisco to Los Angeles, bribed them with Disneyland and Universal Studios so then I could take them to Palm Springs for 4 days so that I could look at houses until their eyes bled. And that connection between mid-century modern architecture, which is representative in many ways in Australian architecture now, is all about clean lines, which is also about clean lines in materials and less finishes, which is very much in the Nightingale. We filmed in the Nightingale house for one of the shows that I'm on, and it was outstanding. But really clean lined, not all the detail was gone. Larger connection between open spaces and outside. And I think that that's really important. And just to go quickly back to the question before too, because it relates to it, it's finishes, but it's also adaptability of a floor plan. Because the opposite side of a small footprint, which I completely agree with, to give more housing options, is the larger home that has adaptable floor plans to allow the family to evolve. So bathrooms downstairs where mum and dad will move down because the kids are now living upstairs with their family, and then the parents are looking after their kids because they have time with grandchildren that they never had with their own kids. And that's how houses in my area where I grew up in the hills area of Sydney was very much like. And now we're going back to that. So it can look pretty and be a certain style to people's tastes, but the adaptability of the floor plan lets families evolve into there, which reduces mental health, which means mum and dad aren't going to look for, grandpa's died, where's grandma going to live? Yeah. She's living in the house, but she's not in your face and you're not in hers because she has her own space within the family hub.
Absolutely. I think I saw some more hands.
Hi, thank you for your presentations and for your work, firstly. The last two conversations you've been having are about community and connection, and then about the future of our homes. And I was curious to talk about digital technology because none of you have mentioned that. And there's been, in my mind, a lot of propaganda from big tech companies that really want to get surveillance into our homes under the guise of convenience. But I'm curious, have you not spoken about that because there's a fear of change of technology entering our homes? Or is it potentially like a natural human instinct to kind of reject that? Or is it something else altogether? Thanks.
I think maybe for us, technology can be really expensive. And so sometimes, a lot of what I've talked about today is actually incredibly low-tech solutions. Same with some of the ways that you've talked about passive design and, the way we think about building. If we're trying to get the basics right, we go back to basics, we get that right, and then we come back to the technology maybe. But also I'm talking about adding friction, not removing friction from the process. So I think that technology will inherently become part of our lives. And Stephen, we had an interesting conversation at dinner last night about how much we want to invite technology into our homes, what that does to privacy, and there's a lot of sort of unknown nuances in that. But I think that at the moment we're almost feel like we ran with technology too far in some instances. The technology of materials that became composites that we had no idea what they were. These complex building systems that we're sold that's the greener way to build. And so we're taking a few steps back. We're looking at how to do things simply and affordably first, introduce some friction, get people talking to each other, and then we can come back and look at where we want to, make people's lives easier. Have someone fold the washing have a robot fold the washing for us, but not necessarily, walk in your front door without having to get your keys out, because maybe then you don't ever stop at your front door.
And the other thing with technology is it breaks. And
Yeah.
if you've got 5,000 homes a year and the technology is always playing up and you're getting phone calls from unhappy clients and you've got to go fix it, I would see that as a big problem. I've done a lot of high-tech houses. Like one of them, we were trying to do the most high-tech house ever made in Australia, where we spent so much, like $500,000 of tech went into it. And we basically don't really use any of that tech at the moment because it isn't working for an Airbnb perspective, where the clients...
They don't know how to use it.
They don't know how to use anything. And every time something breaks, it's $10,000 to send a crew down to replace all the things that are outdated, and making sure the internet's pretty crap. So making sure all the Wi-Fi things are getting changed every year. It's just so expensive. So I've definitely got a little bit of over tech fatigue, where we went crazy when it was all coming out.
But even you think back to 20 years ago, when every home had a built-in surround sound system, no one uses that anymore, but it's still there. And so we're kind of trying to not hardwire it in. We're trying to allow space for the technology, but not to hardwire it in and have future redundancies.
Yeah, there is options like that. We use a Clipsal Wiser on the houses you guys all saw yesterday. They actually are smart home houses that have, on my phone, I can turn the lights off, the aircon and all that stuff, but no one else knows about that. Like the guests, they're just normal switches. And behind those switches, there is a little gadget. And it's not that expensive. It probably was about $40,000 per house to add that in. And it was more for us. So like if we weren't there, we were overseas or something, and someone left all the lights on or whatever, we could control it if we wanted to. Yeah. But from an everyday use, I think just turning the lights on and off is fine. So yeah.
I love how you just said $40,000 wasn't that expensive.
Relative.
Context.
It's all relative.
Absolutely context. Do you think maybe the technology just isn't ready yet? And one day it will be?
100%.
It's always evolving though.
Yeah.
So when will it ever be?
Yeah.
We're not going to reach a static point in time where we stop, with the technology stops evolving.
I think it's a big word though, technology. I'm sure on one end of the scale there's huge expense in setting it up. Without mentioning a brand, I have Clipsal switches with Wiser, which is wireless. It's quite cost effective. Our light switch, Sandra's programmed it, I don't. And we're watching TV and lights come on and off, and it looks like we're here when we're not, like at home, not here. And that is really easy technology. And I was someone who was against cameras on a house because I think, do I have a meth lab here? Like, why do I need cameras on my house, But we have cameras on our house. We have cameras on our house, but it means that when we are overseas or away, we're able to watch things. We can hear a noise outside and watch through the camera, and it's not so freaky. And we have family come and go when we're not in the property, and therefore it's not scary. And as far as technology goes, what is technology? Jen Bishop, beautiful Jen Bishop, my good friend, she put a skylight in her hallway, which is a digital LED panel, which is wired through to a little sensor on her gutter, because where she wanted this skylight, she couldn't get access through the roof because of air conditioning. So that skylight effect feels utterly natural. It comes on with daylight and off because it's a sensor, but it's an LED panel. I think that's quite clever technology. It wasn't hugely expensive. It gives I know it's not true natural light, but in that location she couldn't have it. And the balance as you look down her hallway now from the rear and the front where there is natural light to the middle is really clever.
The window treatments in my home, we connected a little automation device to them, and it was a couple of $100, really inexpensive. I feel like a billionaire every morning when they go up and they go down. And I quite like it. This is linked back to community. From my bed, if the blinds are all the way up, I can see straight into the living room of the people behind. And so I have it on an in-bed setting, so a weekend setting where I have enough light coming in, but they can't see that I'm sitting in bed eating breakfast and getting crumbs everywhere. So I think there are not scary and cost-effective ways to embrace innovation in a gentle or a slower way that perhaps is more comfortable for most Australians. Hello, we have another question? Great.
Hello. I do have a question, but just the discussion on the tech aspect while you were talking about the robots and reminding us of Katie Rigg-Smith talk. I had a funny thought of the Nightingale project and the shared laundry just full of robots folding everybody.
That would be fantastic. Although the laundry is the hardest working social space in the building. So
Not if it's full of robots.
no, exactly. No one would know each other. No one would know each other, and it would completely break the community. I think.
Exactly.
The washing machines in there are smart washing machines that give you a notification when your washing's done, because we don't want to add so much friction that when someone leaves their washing in there for 6 hours, everyone gets really cranky at them. Like there's a certain amount of friction that we've got to.
AI should program those notifications so everybody has to go to the laundry at the same time.
Wouldn't that be good?
Yes.
So my question is, from all of you speaking today and even yesterday with Stephen, you all seem to have, in your own regard, really zeroed in on a clear vision or a purpose or something that drives you and inspires you. And my question is kind of twofold and probably too big, so just pick and choose the bits that you want to answer. I'd really like for you to share how you've found what seems to be this really clear internal compass that's guiding you, and where do you think it's going? Where is it pointing next for each of you?
Jeez.
Jeez, that's a big question.
Yeah,
I love this.
mine was quite easy, really. I mean, mine was born out of a disaster, and I think when you have a health crisis, and we're not getting any younger, we're all going to go through one. That's suddenly where you start to look at your lifestyle and your environment and start to question: am I living in the right way? Are things moving in the right direction for humanity and for my own health? And if you haven't got your own health, then you have nothing. I don't think wellness and health is created by having a gym or a room or a plunge pool or a ice bath. I think it's created as a lifestyle and how you choose to live and how you choose to relate to nature. So my purpose was born out of, seeing someone die pretty tragically. But I do see it as a massive future trend. Everyone wants to be healthier. We're all going to the gym. We're all eating healthier food choices. So it's a natural progression that it will be in our houses.
I think that the ability to be able to see what your voice is within the design community and where you go, because we come from different spaces, even though it's interesting to hear a lot of our views naturally overlap, because we're talking about a space that people live in. So what is family? I've got two kids, 20 and 22. One of them has 4 posts on the Instagram page and just doesn't even look at it. That's our son. Our daughter, obsessed. We have to take the phone, like she's just on it till 2 a.m. They consume technology differently, and it's not good or bad. It's just how it is. We would have possibly been the same. But in that connectivity, they're so connected, but they're all isolated at the same time, and they don't see each other. And they're all on the technology at the bus stop instead of talking to each other. It's really strange. So within the home unit, to be able to have that connectivity within how the home relates and how that family uses that home is a conversation. And to be able to understand how to have that conversation with clients is what I think keeps the design community, build and design community within employment, as opposed to AI, because it's not a questionnaire that they can tick in, it's a conversation to hear. I make my clients really aware of, I'm asking you this question because I want you to hear your answer, to hear them having the conversation and understanding it, because they're things that they possibly haven't thought of before. And that's where I think my job's evolved, where I laugh a lot and joke a lot, but I love houses. But what is a house? I don't want them living in what a house means to me. They have to live in what a house means to them, with my knowledge or with the products that we can use and the technology that we can use and the new materials coming in to make that dream a financial reality and a nice space to live in that holds value over time.
I think so when I was at architecture school, I thought I wanted to design really expensive houses for people with lots of money, which is completely ironic, and I acknowledge that. But I thought I wanted to, spend hours detailing beautiful handrails and, thinking about all of those incredible moments in someone's home and in their lives. And then I actually did a class at university called Nightingale Night School, and I learnt all about how architecture can really be a weapon for good, and not just something that impacts someone when they are walking up a set of stairs. And I think it kind of opened my eyes to the idea that in anyone's career, particularly as designers, there's a finite number of projects that we can do. And so, and you seem to be doing a lot of them, but there's a finite number of projects that any one person can undertake in their professional career. And so, when you look at when I thought about what I wanted the impact and the legacy of what I was doing to be, like, what's going to get me out of bed in the morning? I want to do something that, and I don't have the capacity to deliver as many homes as you're all doing. So hats off to you being able to deliver 5,000 homes a year. We're not delivering anywhere near that many, but the ability to deliver more than 2 houses a year and impact more people's lives in a really positive way is something that really drives me. I can't take full credit for the ideas I've shared with you today. I work with an incredible team of people who, who've been doing it for longer than I have, but I feel incredibly values aligned, and it means that I have a great values alignment personally with the work I do, and I care really deeply about it.
Neil, what drives you?
Well, for me, I kind of ended up where I am because I probably couldn't do anything else. I was severely dyslexic and ADD through school, so I wasn't really able to read. By the time I finished school, I was bad. And I was really into sport and really competitive. But I sort of got injured. I was trying to make it in footy or athletics and had all this drive to do something good. And then I came out and did work experience. And at that time, I got offered the job because I was a pretty good worker. And I think I was 14. And I didn't go back to school. So I didn't really think I was going to amount to too much. And then I got this sort of slingshot reaction where I was held back in school and then really learned how to build things really well and worked with really good builders, and then evolved into, being a good tradesman and learning how to do things properly, and then becoming a designer and designing houses, and then realizing there was this huge gap between architects and builders and this clash between how much things cost and them not knowing and the builders saying, having this big divide and then the client losing out in the end, which kind of made Futureflip sort of come to life. And that was where I was solving that problem, creating that gap where I could give them that luxury house for the budget they actually had. And that was, I guess, what drives me and still drives me now. We're obviously moving on to all different things. I'm still extremely ADD, but it's kind of a superpower now because I'm doing Airbnbs, I'm doing developments, I'm doing, this sort of stuff. I'm doing a lot of things at once, which I love. But yeah, definitely came out of that love to build cool things and make them actually affordable, because there's just so many amazing pieces of architecture that we see in Australia that no one can afford. And that's sort of where I started playing around with using concrete and using the structure as the finished product, to eliminate materials and all that sort of stuff. And yeah, nearly every job I try and innovate something and learn something. And I guess that's kind of came out of a point where I don't think I would have been able to, go to university and ever do architecture because I couldn't really read. So yeah, I've ended up in a pretty good place from that. Yeah.
Without sounding too cheesy, I think those are all really noble reasons to pursue the work that you do. And it's very important that we all come back to the why for not just the work we do, but personally, why? Why do we do it? Because at the end of the day, that's what drives us. I think this is a really lovely point to pause. So I just want to say thank you on behalf of all of us. Thank you for sharing your expertise and your stories. It has been a delight. It's been really wonderful. So big round of applause for our panel.
Thank you.
And with that round of applause, we close the door on Metricon's Love of Design Summit. My greatest thanks to Ali Whelan, Michael Leung, Neil Hipwell, and James Treble for answering every question the room can throw at them. The big, the small, and the deeply personal. And thank you to Metricon for having Home Beautiful along. Any room asking how its designers can build better homes for more Australians is a room we want to be in. If you missed part 1, Pushing Boundaries and Why the Best Homes Build Community, scroll back in your feed. It is a lovely listen, if I do say so myself. And the edit rolls on as usual. More home tours, home confessions, tiny upgrades, and mystery drawer reveals every week. Follow the show wherever you're listening. And while you're there, tell us what's in your mystery drawer. We may feature it in a future episode. See you next week.